Alright, what's up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dudes and dudettes? Welcome back to your potentially favorite Nigerian podcast. Bear with me, your host, General Prime. The funny thing is that the weird funny thing is that, like, when I try to rehearse this when I'm not recording, like, I always get it wrong. Like, I don't even know the right words to use. I don't even know what exactly I'm saying. But when I start recording, I just know that this is the right way I introduce myself, and this is the right way I start the podcast. Like, everything just flows effortlessly, and that's kind of cool. But yeah, welcome back to your potentially favorite Nigerian podcast. Bear with me, your host, General Prime. I hope everybody had like a restful weekend and we're looking forward to the next one because, as usual, it feels like this podcast is like this dreary kind of pessimistic podcast where I just like complain about how fucked up and how dreadful and how like just bad life is. But that's not what I like. That's not what the podcast is supposed to be about. Like I've said it countless times, man. It's supposed to be about me drinking and getting high and just talking shit. But this is going to be like the 35th episode now, and it has evolved to a point where it doesn't necessarily have to be me just drinking and smoking and just like saying things, random stuff that comes to my head. Like, I feel like, there's this saying, with great power comes great responsibility, right? Is that how we said? With great power comes great responsibility. Yeah, the whole Spider-Man saying, right? By the way, the new Spider-Man movie, I don't even know if it's new, like what was the name of the new Spider-Man movie, the animated one now with Miles Morales. Like that's one of like the craziest. As in, do you know what I find funny, man? I love it when people tell good stories. Like everything around us, everything, like the entirety of humanity is one big giant story. Like one big enormous giant story that is being experienced by humanity itself, or should I say by the universe itself. And then if you zoom in microscopically, you see that this giant story is made up of billions and billions and billions of a thousand different other intricate stories that linked. Like, if a kind of a cosmic being were to appear today, and let's say, like, there's this joke I always tell myself, like, there's this inside. I don't know if anybody has like an inside joke that they have within themselves, that they are the only ones that know about, that nobody else knows about, that even if they even say it out loud self, it might kind of sound weird, right? Like, I have a series of intricate inside jokes I have with myself that I don't share with anybody, but let me just share one of them. Like, I like to think that this whole story of humanity, like everybody that has ever existed on this planet, and everything that has ever existed on this planet, both animate and inanimate, right? Everything has a story, and all of these stories are linked together. It might not be readily obvious, as in, you existing right now, you might have a link with somebody that existed like 5,000 years ago, and both of you might also have a link with somebody that is going to exist like 100,000 years from now. So, like, the way I'm saying it out loud, and what's the bad part of all my inside jokes is that when I say them out loud, they don't sound out loud the way they sound in my head. So, but I'm going to like try my best to like try to explain it in a way that it works in my own head. Do you understand? So, but everybody that exists right now, everything that exists right now, both plants, both animals, both fungi, both bacteria, both humans, both plastic, both trees, both cars, both computers, both fucking air condition, like literally everything has a story, right? I always like sometimes, let me say, sometimes when I'm cooking, right? Let's say I'm trying to like boil rice, something like that. Or let's say, let me just use rice as an example. Let's say I'm trying to like boil rice, right? And obviously, when you're like washing the rice, there are some grains that will fall off, right? And when those grains fall off, I always tell myself, like, look at these grains of rice. that is not going to be eaten after all. There are so many things that had to happen for this grain of rice, for this couple grains of rice to get to my pot. Like there had to be somebody that had to like plant them. There had to be somebody that had to like look after them. There had to be someone that had to like not nurture them to the point where they flourished, and then they germinated, and then they had to like cultivate them, and then they had to like remove the husks and stuff like that, and then they had to like bag them and then ship them all the way all over the country, and then repackage them and then put them in like a fucking supermarket, and they had to like stay there for a couple of weeks tops, and then I had to be the one that had to go and buy them and then bring them, only for me to like just waste them. Jesus Christ. I don't know, man. Like my brain is just weird. But anyway, at the end of the day, we all have stories. And if a cosmic being, like I always tell myself this inside joke, like if a cosmic being, let's say a cosmic college student was giving, let me say, is trying to like write a cosmic PhD about the entire story of all of us, and his task is to like connect every story of everything ever that has ever existed on planet Earth, and connect them in a way that they are all connected, and they are all linked, and they all make sense, and they all complement each other. It's like that is going to be one hell of a story. Like that is going to be one hell of a cosmic story, one hell of an interesting cosmic story. Like I cannot even fathom how this cosmic being is going to like how this cosmic being is going to start, but I guess he has to start from somewhere, and I wonder what the end of this story is going to be like. And also, if you're listening to this, like you have to wonder what your part in this giant cosmic play is going to be like. Is going to be. Do you understand? Like you have to wonder because in this giant cosmic story that this hypothetical cosmic college student is writing for his cosmic PhD, right? As in everybody has a part, and I feel like as in, bro, the way it is in my head, man, it's so big it's so grand to try to like just casually summarize with words, with mere words. Do you understand? Like it's something that has to be as in like there, as in another thing again is that there are some things that words just cannot describe. Do you understand? There are some things that as in words are not enough to like explain and expatiate on. I know that there are people that are so eloquent and so they are so like they have this expanse of vocabulary, that they have this library of vocabulary in their brains that they can use anytime, and they're so eloquent and so intellectual and so like they know how to like use words, profoundly. But not everybody is like that, and me, I like to think that I have a little bit of that ability, but that my ability is also limited. Do you understand what I'm saying? So all I'm just trying to say is that the entire story of all of us, as in from the beginning to the end, is just crazy. It's going to be one hell of a story, and I wonder what the end of that story is going to be. Like I always wonder what the end of the story is going to be like when this cosmic being has like gotten to the last chapter, like the last paragraph of the last chapter of the entire story of all of us that he's trying to write for his PhD. I wonder what it is. Like if somebody can just if someone can be able to like peep into the future, or should I say leave the boundaries of planet Earth, and get to a point where he can look back into the entire universe. Like imagine how big you have to be able to look back into the universe, and then you have the ability to not be constrained by time, right? So you have the ability to move, you're not constrained by time. So that means you're not limited by the past, you're not limited by the present or the future. You can go, like you can observe everything you want to observe at a moment's notice, without any hesitation, without any limitations. Like, you're basically, I don't want to use the word God, because for people to say God, right? For people to say God, that means you're talking about something that requires worship. And when people say God created the universe, it's like the whole idea of God, the whole idea of a God is a being that requires worship. And I don't think that whatever it is, like I've said this several times, right? I don't think that whatever it is that created this universe, um, as in, I don't think that whatever it is that created this universe, or whoever it is, or whoever they are that created this universe, right, and then put us here, maybe as an experiment, or to observe or something like that. I don't think that they'll stoop so low to regard themselves, or to regard itself as a god, because this idea of gods, or this idea of a god, is just purely humanistic, and only just reflects on how we try to like personify everything that is around us. But so um looking back at the universe, and then looking back at the universe and having the ability to go through time effortlessly, and then be able to like see the entire story of all of us, and then see how it begins and how it ends. That and just imagine like giving somebody that opportunity. Like I've mentioned this book before, Plato's Republic. I don't know if you've read the book. There's this story at the end of the book where there is a soldier, right, that dies, and then he's taken to the afterlife, and he's given the ability to see what happens in the afterlife. And then it's like he sees where people are taking, they walk like for miles and miles, and then they come to a place where it's kind of like judgment, and then everybody's judged by how they lived in their previous life, and then they're given traits to choose, and to choose based on what they are going to be in their next, as in their next life or something like that. I cannot really remember how it goes, but the point of what I'm trying to say is that, imagine giving somebody the ability to see everything, man. I don't think that the brain can hold it. Do you understand? I don't think that the mind is able to like conceptualize, and the mind is able to like, the mind is powerful enough to hold such truths, such information. Like, I don't know, as in, I feel like there are some things that somebody might see, and it will make them literally run mad. Do you understand? So imagine having the ability to, or imagine having the opportunity. I don't even think it's going to be an opportunity. I think it's a course. Imagine being cursed with seeing the entirety of the story of all of us, bro. I, bro, I don't. Is it going to be a course based on how the story ends? It's either going to be a curse or a blessing. So, but now, to bring it individually, it's like, you now, your own story, right? I've said now that everything is a story. Like, everybody has a story. Everything on this entire planet, even the universe itself, even cosmic beings, even like stars, even planets, even comets, even meteorites, everything has a story, right? Everything starts from somewhere, and before it gets to somewhere else, there are a series of things that happen in between, and that is what we call stories, right? So now, you now individually, now, what is your story? Do you understand? Like, have you ever wondered how your story ends? It's like, life is fleeting. Life is in, as in, as significant as we tend to think life is, in the grand scheme of things. Like, life is so fleeting, and life is so fragile, and life is so, it's like, so small and so short. Like, our human lives, there are organisms that live for hundreds of years. Like, there's this, I don't know, there's this bacteria that I've heard of. I cannot really remember the name right now. That is virtually immortal. And there's a kind of like a squid, right? There's a kind of deep water squid that is said to be virtually immortal, right? There are animals that live for hundreds of years. There are trees that have lived for thousands of years. Sharks, believe it or not, sharks are older than trees. Like, like there was a time on this planet when trees did not exist, when trees as we know them today did not exist. Yet sharks have lived on this planet longer than trees have existed. But when it comes to human life, right? Our lives are so short, so very short. Like the most somebody can get to is 120 years. I know in the past, like in all these biblical stories, they used to say that people used to live up to like 900 years. That's just babash. That's just wrong in every way you can think of it. That's just wrong. But the most that we know that somebody can live for is like 120 years. If you're lucky, bro. If you're lucky, you get to be 75 years. If you're lucky, you get to be 80 years. Do you understand? Like this, as in, I recently saw a video of somebody that lived in the 1800s, and they were making, and she was the video is about her talking about her experiences when when she got married at the age of 18, and how she left her home and got to the place where she was currently at. And it's like, to be able to look that far back into the past. I think that's, you know what I think that video cameras, right, are a kind of time machine that only have the ability to like look back into the past and observe things that, and take part in the observation of things that happened. Do you understand? And then replenish the memory and stuff like that. That's what I tend to think, that that video cameras are they only have the ability to look back into the past. They don't have the ability to look into the future. We don't yet have that kind of device. Do you understand? So, the point I'm trying to make is that life is very short. Our life, the human life, is very short, and what we do with this very little time, like very little minuscule time, is entirely up to us. It's like, what is your story, right? Like that is a question I've been asking myself throughout this week. Like, how does your story end? It's like, in a space of 1 week, I've lost like 3 people that I'm very that's one of them I was fairly close to because he was a work colleague. One of them was like my childhood friend, and the other one is like my best friend from secondary school that I lost touch with. It's like, in the space of 1 week, bro, I lost 3 people that I know. You understand? That's I was mostly fairly close to. Do you understand? So, and it's kind of like been bugging my mind all through the week, because one of them is like, I'm the same age with him, right? My best friend from secondary school. It's like, I'm the same age with him, and is fuck is, and I'm not going to say fucked up. It's just, it makes you think. Do you understand? It makes you kind of, because like I said before, I said in my previous episode that we humans are complacent, right? We tend to forget the important things in life, and then we focus on things that are not so important. That, as in, we tend to forget the things that are really important in life, and then we spend our entire lives focusing on things that we think seem to be important, but at the end of the day, when we look back, we realize that that was just an entire waste of time. It's like, it's the same thing that happens like when we were kids, like, right? Like, I don't know if you can remember, like when you were younger, like, we always wanted to, like, as in, I'm sure we did things, right? As kids, we did things that made us wanted to do things that made us feel among, and like made us feel included, and made us feel like appreciated and seen and like welcomed, and like, wanted to like be part of the group, wanted to be part of the tribe, wanted to like, well, me personally, I'm speaking like out of my own experience. Like, I wanted always to be like part of the group. I wanted to be part of, like, I wanted to have friends. You understand? But I always felt like an outsider, and being an outsider, you would want to like impress. As an outsider, you want to impress the tribe, you want to impress the group, and so you end up doing things that you feel will make you seen, and feel will make you welcomed, and feel will get you friends, and like make you part of the group, basically. Do you understand? And those were the things that we found. I don't know if anybody else can relate to this, but those are the things that at the time we found to be really important. You understand? We wanted to, as in, these are the things that we found to be really important. But then looking back right now, like as you get older, you look back at those things, and you realize that that was just dumb. Like you really didn't need to like do. You really didn't need to like do, do all that dumb shit, man. It's like we always want to feel. We're always doing things. We're so complacent, and we tend to like focus on things that don't matter at all. But at the end of the day, when you get older, when you're more experienced, you look back at those things, and then you realize that that was some dumb ass shit, man. That was like just unnecessarily and obnoxiously, and just as in you're just dumb. You just don't. You're just being so dishonest with yourself, and you knew. And the other thing again is that back then, I think that you knew within you that what you were doing was like wrong, and what you were doing back then was like just to be seen. But yet, what you were doing back then, like it was wrong and just odd and untrue to yourself. But you didn't listen to that inner voice, and you went ahead to do them just to like feel among and just to be part of the group. So now, my question now is like, now that we are older, right? Now that we're quote unquote adults, right? Are there things that we're doing are there things that we're doing right now that we think are so important and so necessary and a must to do? Like, are there things that we're doing right now that if we're lucky enough to get old, do you understand? Because right now I'm beginning to think that this whole old age shit, man, is as in if you're lucky, like it's a what do they call it now? It's a gamble, man. It's kind of like a gamble. It's like winning the lottery. Like old age is like winning the lottery, because like there are a lot of young people that no longer have regard for life, maybe probably out of stupidity or out of wanting or the other. Like I just saw this video recently now that there was a mass shooting in one. There was like a mass shooting in one of these American rappers. I don't even all these new fucked up stupid ass American rappers that nobody knows. That me personally, I don't. You might be a fan of, but I'm not a fan of anyway. And instead of people to run, right? Instead of young people to run away for their lives, they started looting the merchandise of the rapper and the store that was as in people no longer have regard for their life. Like people no longer understand how unique and how as in people no longer understand what life is. Do you understand? People no longer have regard for their life. So what are we doing now as young adults that if we have the privilege to get old, we're going to look back at and realize that this stuff that we're doing, that we're currently doing right now, is dumb. It's as dumb as us looking back at what we used to do when we were a lot younger, and also understanding and realizing that what we did when when we were younger was also dumb. Like, what is it? Like, can anybody be honest enough to point it out? Because as well as we knew when we were younger about the things that we were doing that we knew were wrong, but we also went ahead to do them just to impress our friends, just to be part of the tribe, just to be part of the group, just to be part of the community, just to have friends. You understand? We knew that they were wrong. We know right now in our young adulthood that some of the things that we are doing right now, just to feel among, just to be seen, just to be understood, just to be heard. Do you understand? We know right now that there's this inner voice that we tend to not listen to, that is actually telling us that what we are doing is actually wrong. So, but can anybody be honest enough to voice it out, to like actually say it with their mouths? Because at the end of the day, that is also part of your story. Like the mistakes you make, the experiences you have, the losses that you have, the wins that you gain. You understand? All of that is a culmination of your story. So if you're going to be this kind of person um that decides not to listen to that voice, that tiny inner voice in your head that's telling you that whatever this path that you're taking is wrong, and you are lucky enough to get to, and you're lucky enough, let's say lucky, bro, you're lucky enough to get to a point where you are regarded as old, and then you look back at your life, will your life be filled with regrets? Will you tell yourself that I shouldn't have done that dumb shit? Do you understand? I shouldn't have done that. I like to think that there's this, you know how I was talking about how I have inside jokes with myself, and I know that everybody else does, right? Everybody has their own unique inside jokes that they tell themselves that they don't share with anybody. I already shared one earlier. Now let me share another one. Like, I like to think that thought is a kind of, or I said earlier that the video camera is a kind of time machine, right? Where you can be able to like look back into the past and observe and like be a witness to it, right? But we don't have a device for traveling further into time, right? But I like to think that um introspection is like a kind of time machine. Doesn't necessarily have to be like a device or like a tangible like um holdable device, but it's a kind of like a time machine that can help you um look into the future, right? Like for example, now this is, let me explain. When you're, let me say, I don't know if anybody else does it too. Me, I know I'm kind of weird, but it's like sometimes I just like stay by myself and then I try to reflect on things that have happened. I try to like think of things where things might go wrong and see how I can like think about and try to like think of how I can like not make them go wrong, to put it like plainly. So um I like to reflect on things, right? I like to reflect on things that have happened, things that might happen, and see how I can like fine tune them in my favor, right? So when I am doing that, right, I like to think of, I like to ask myself, like, what is it that 5 years from now or like 10 years from now, I would regret not knowing right now? I would regret that I didn't know it right now, and then it would be detrimental to me for not knowing it right now. It's like what I like to like think of. I like to think of stuff like that. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I like to like try to think of what it is that I am supposed to know, that what kind of experience or what kind of knowledge, just or what kind of information that I'm supposed to have right now that will be beneficial to me 5 years from now. That's most, like for example, now you know how people always regret that they didn't know earlier about Bitcoin. It's like nobody really knew how profitable and how beneficial and how big Bitcoin was going to get. And until it was too late. It's like I can remember when bro, I can remember the first time I heard about Bitcoin, and like nobody really knew how profitable Bitcoin and how big it was going to get until it was like entirely too late. Then everyone has started clamoring into it and just like trying to make money out of it, trying to like get profit out of it, until then it got to a point where it was like really, really big. And then like, bro, it has gotten, as in nobody, me, I'm not really into that. I'm not that much into crypto anymore because obviously it's no longer, it's no, as in everybody now it's been soiled, right? So, but the point I'm trying to make right now is that, right, we all wish that we could go back in time. Like we all wish that we had the ability to go back in time to do things that we didn't know back when, as in we didn't know before. And so I always ask myself, like, what are the things that I don't know now that will be detrimental to me in 5 years time for not knowing? So I always like to think of stuff like that. I always like to like crack my brain. I always like to like look at look at what is happening in the world, look at how the world is going, look at what is going on, just to like have that information, just to have that data, right, to be able to know things, to be able to know things right now, so that they will not come back to bite me in the ass in the future. So now, what I want to talk about today concerning my three mates that died, it's like, I don't know if anybody else has this weird, like I know I've talked about inside jokes and stuff like that. And I don't know, I'm just giving out all my inside jokes today. It's kind of odd. I'm not saying again that I always have in mind, that is always on my mind, right? That I just find weird saying out loud and just talking about, but I just always keep it to myself. But I'm going to say anyway on this podcast, because first of all, not many people are going to like listen to this, and secondly, I don't even think that there's a secondly. So, but listen, what I always think of is like, I don't know if anybody else feels this way, but I'm always kind of scared, or should I say hesitant, to meet new people, because I always feel like meeting new people is like you're adding to the library of souls that you're going to be disheartened by, or you're going to feel sad for when you hear of their demise. Everybody you know in this world, like everybody that you're familiar with, like whether you're close to them, whether it's somebody that you've heard of, whether is a famous person, a celebrity, an actor, stuff like that. It's like everybody you know that you're familiar with at one point in time is going to die, right? Like that is a given, that is inevitable, unless you're Keanu Reeves. Um, everybody is going to die, right? Sometimes you're going to die, as in, bro, everybody you know is going to die at one point in time. Also, you too, you're going to kick the pockets. That is the ultimate truth. But and some of the people that die, right, it makes us feel sad when we hear about their deaths, even if we are not that close to them. But obviously, the people that we're very close to, like we're always really disheartened when we hear of their deaths. Like, as in, there is this sadness, there is this, it's like there's this grief. There's this saying that grief is basically love that doesn't know what to do or where to go. It's like you cannot tell this person how much you love them, and how much you wish that they are still around, and how much you wish that they live long and happy and healthy with you, and continue to experience life. Like you're not able to do that because they cannot hear you. And so what that potential expression of love turns to is grief. Do you understand? So at the end of the day, everybody we know at some point in time, regardless of how how close they are to us, and regardless of how much we love them, do you understand, they're going to die, and that is going to be the ultimate hurt, bro. See, you think that whatever it is that you're going through right now, whatever fucking nonsense, that is what I said before, that we humans are just so complacent. We tend to focus on things that are not important at all. We tend to like give audience. We tend to give our attention to things that are not really, really important. That at the end of the day, when we look back at, we're going to like we're going to be so resentful with ourselves. We're going to be so angry at ourselves for giving so much time and attention to all those things. But at the end of the day, what really matters in this story that is being written by this cosmic college being, is the people in our lives, not the material things. I know that there are some material things that are important, but but nothing is as important as the beings. Like, there's this guy I know, right? There's this guy I know that says that he can kill somebody for money. And I've talked about him before. I've talked about him before. It's like one of the like dumbest. Bro, let me not insult somebody at this podcast, man. But imagine saying that you're going. Imagine having the mentality that you can end a life because of something as trivial as money. That's kind of fucked up. So, but at the end of the day, material things don't matter, right? But we tend to chase them. We tend to see them as these things that must be hard. Do you understand, bro? That's just fucked up, man. Imagine die. This my mates that died now is like, bro. Why do people want to live this fast life? It's like, why do the whole point of it all is the experience of the journey, not the end of the journey, the experience, like the things that happen to you while you're on the journey, like the stories that sprout, the stories that get created, the experiences you have, the people you meet, the people. What matters are the people. People matter. Do you understand? Don't not the material things. Material things will always be here. Like, if you give that much adoration and that much importance to it, it literally becomes your god, and then that is what you worship. And do you really and do you, as in, imagine money being your god? Like, there are people that have, I've talked about all these billionaires, right? I've talked about all these wild ass billionaires that have ungodly amount of wealth. Bro, it's tiring, man. It's tiring to talk about all these fucked up people. But what I'm trying to say is that the crux of the matter, what I'm trying to say today, it's like, losing someone you love is going to be the ultimate heartbreak. We tend to think that whatever it is, whatever insignificant bullshit that we are facing today, that we give like audience to, like we tend to think that that's important. No, bro. At the end of the day, man, imagine losing somebody that you're dear to. That is going to be the ultimate heartbreak, and the grief that follows would seem so unbearable that it might even be traumatizing. And that's the fuck that's the I don't know, that's the fucked up part, and that's the thing that most people don't tend to understand. And so what's the thing that comes to my mind usually is that why do you go ahead why do you go ahead with meeting new people and knowing new people, and like be as in being in the vicinity of new people and being acquainted to new people and becoming friends with new people? Like, why are you doing that? Do you understand? Like, why do you keep doing that when you know that if you're lucky enough, you're going to live long enough to hear about the demise of some of them? Like, I don't like meeting. Like, I've come to the point in my life where it's kind of sad to say, or should I say, it's kind of sad to say, but I don't want to be meeting new people, because I'm just adding to the list of people that I'm going to feel sad for, and I'm going to feel bad about when they die. Is this kind of like a fucked up thing to say? I don't know if it's fucked up for me to say stuff like this, but it is the truth. It is the truth. If I'm lucky enough to not die at a young age, obviously all the people that I've met will obviously feel some sort of sadness by my death. The same way I'm feeling sadness and grief now by the death of these my three guys that died, right? And and now, bro, I don't want to be meeting new people, because meeting new people only entails that you now know one more person that you're going to be saddened by when they die. That is all I'm trying to say. That is all I'm trying to say. Like, life is so fleeting. Life is so fragile. Life is so like, see, I don't know if anybody else has experienced stuff like this. It's like the body is so as in, bro. I don't see another thing again. I want to talk about it before I make this my point. I don't know how fat people survive. It's like, I don't know how fat people are some of fat people are some of the strongest people on this in this world, though, believe it or not. Because when you're working out, let's say you're doing push-ups, let's say you're doing push-ups, you get to a point where you start getting tired, right? Let's say you're able to do, let's just be conservative, you're able to do like 20 push-ups, right? It gets to a point where you start getting tired, you can no longer be able to like carry yourself, right? And now there's a spectrum of that. There's a spectrum of people who find it extremely difficult to carry themselves, aka fat people, to a point where it seems like these people are like they're like a feather in the wind. They can be able to like carry themselves so effortlessly that they can like it gets to a point where, as in what I'm trying to say, like what I'm trying to say is that this spectrum ranges from fat people to gymnasts is it gymnasts or gymnists, sorry, gymnast, is it gymnasts or gymnists, please pardon my English. This spectrum of how this spectrum of the, okay, I call it the spectrum of the strength of the soul. Do you understand? Because I'm not a religious person, obviously, but I always like, but the best way I can explain it that has been ingrained in me to be able to explain it, that I have been taught how to explain it, is the religious method, right? So you know how religious people always talk about how the body, man is a spirit, he has a soul, and then he lives in the body. That kind of bullshit, right? It to a point, like, for lack of a better term, I'm going to use that point, because I tend to, as in, the way I see it is that the soul is what carries the body, like this concrete bag of meat that we walk around in, right? This biological bag of meat that we walk around in. That is what the body is. But then we have something inside of us that is like an arc reactor. Let's call it the Iron Man arc reactor that powers all of this, that powers the entirety of us, that powers this biological robotic bag flesh machine. You understand? But how should I say, it's the range of how powerful this arc reactor inside of us, aka the soul, is based on how is dependent, sorry, on what we do to it, on or how we feed it. You understand? If you allow if you allow your body to be, if you just allow yourself to go, what is that word that they use? If you allow yourself to just fall apart, right? Obviously, you're going to be unhealthy, and it's going to be increasingly difficult for your soul to carry your body. So that's why I was referring to fat people. It's like when you're working out. What I'm trying to say, what at the end of the day, what I'm trying to say is that life is fleeting and life is so fragile. And the case I'm trying to make for it is that the soul, bro, I don't know, my mind is weird. That is already a given, right? That is a given, and this might seem kind of frustrating to listen to because all of this that I'm talking about has always been in my head, and I have never worded them out loudly. This is the first time that I'm saying them out loud, and so they are kind of coming out unrefined and just shabby and sketchy and like just not well properly versed. Do you understand? So this might kind of seem frustrating to listen to, because the point that you're waiting for me to make, I'm not making it. I'm not saying it immediately, but I'm just trying to like walk this out. It's like trying to do a comedy bit. It's like trying to like walk out a comedy bit, right? You have to like go through all the whole important bits and find out where the good chunks are, and then take them out, and then like try to like sculpt them into something that is recognizable and something that makes sense and something that is logical. So, but what I'm trying to say is that, right, I don't know if anybody can understand me, shall, but or if anybody has even listened enough to this point, because I've just been blabbing all through. But what I'm trying to say is that the soul is what powers the body. The soul is the arc reactor that powers this machine that we call the body, and we have to make our soul strong enough to power our body. You understand? Don't be fat. Don't let yourself go. You understand? Always try to keep yourself healthy. I don't know where I was going with this, but always try to keep yourself healthy so that your soul can be strong enough to power your body. This is not the way I thought about it in my head, but this is the best way that I can word it out, because at the end of the day, our lives are fleeting and our lives are fragile, and we wouldn't want to be in a situation where we cannot be able to help ourselves because we didn't prime our body to the point where it can work hand in hand with the soul to like keep us safe, for lack of a better term. I don't know exactly where I was going with this, but I don't have anything else to say. I don't have anything else that comes to mind that I can say concerning any of the stuff that I've been talking about for the past like 40 minutes. But at the end of the day, man, it's just kind of fucked up, that it's just kind of sad that I lost like 3 people that I was relatively close to in like 1 week randomly. And I just feel sad for I don't think, bro, come on, man. To die on this island is like the worst thing that can, as a foreigner, as an African, to die on this island or to die in another man's land basically is like the worst thing that can happen to be. Oh, obviously, yeah, when you die, like it's no longer your business. Now whatever happens is no longer your business. Whatever happens to your body is no longer your business, because you're gone. You're no longer in this realm. Now it's not left for the people here on. It's not left for the people on earth, the people that you're close to, the people that that know you, to deal with the drama. Do you understand? So, but for us who are for people that are for us who are still alive, right? And we when we think of it, like basically I just think of the fact that dying in another man's land is just is the saddest thing that can happen to anybody, because you don't go back home, bruh. People that come to this island with prospects in mind, with prospects of like making something of themselves, like they were sent here by their most probably by their parents to come here to study, to like just to do something for themselves that will be beneficial to everybody back home, and then they end up dying here. What kind of, as in, just imagine the level of heartbreak that will bring their parents, right? I don't mean people that die here out of their own stupidity, because that has happened many times. I just mean people that die untimely. There are people here that have died in their sleep. There are people that have died out of depression. There are people that have drowned. There are people that have died because of sickness. That, bro, there are so many things, and then it just hits you, right? It just hits you, and then you ask yourself, like, what if that was me? What if that kind of stuff happens to me? It can happen to anybody, man. Like, nobody is exempt. Nobody is special. Nobody is, even me that I'm talking to. It can happen to me, but when it happens, the truth of the matter is that it's going to be very, very hot. It's going to be heartbreaking to people that I'm close to, and my family back home. It's going to be heartbreaking, and yes, the reality is that when somebody's dead, they are dead, and they no longer care about what is going on again. You understand? But yet, at the end of the day, it's just not right for somebody to die in another man's land and then buried here and never get to be like, their family don't have any closure. You understand? There is no closure. Like, you're so far away from your family, and they're never going to like have the closure, have the like just to see you one last time. You understand? That is just crazy, man. That is just crazy. And again, somebody that died, somebody your own age that dies, somebody that you, bro. I used to be, me and this guy, we were tight friends, man. Like, we're very, very tight friends. And when I left that school, I kind of lost, but that was like years ago now. That was like a billion years ago, bro. So when I left the school, like, we just lost touch. Then Facebook came, and like, there are so many people that I used to know back then that I don't even know that I don't even know anymore. You understand? And so sometimes they just randomly pop into my head, and I'm like, oh, why is this person doing, bro? And then you like check the person out, and maybe you like want to like get back in touch with the person. It's like they don't time. There's so much time has passed that they don't even, either they don't remember you, or they don't think that there is any more friendship to be had, like there is any more relationship that can be continued. You understand? It's like, so when I was like, let me just like, this my friend that we were literally close, we were the closest, bro. We were the closest friends back in like junior secondary school. We were the closest of friends back in junior secondary school, man. Ah, like we were like brothers. Like, we were so tight. We're like brothers. We're inseparable. Like, we're always together, and we shared everything in common. We did everything together, man. So it's like, when the Facebook came around, and I didn't even remember to like look him up or anything. And years and years passed, and then one day I was like, I used to have a friend. Let me just look him up. And then I checked this guy out. I was like, okay, let me try to like get back in touch with him. But the nigga was like, I don't know, it was, life gets in the way, man. That is just the truth of the matter. Life gets in the way, and not everybody has that time, basically. And not everybody bears what you bear in mind. not everybody has the same kind of mind as you, like you understand. And so, like, when I was like trying to like reach get back in touch with him, it didn't really work out, and he didn't really like give me that much attention or that much audience. Like I wasn't there in his own life. I'm sure there must have been a lot of things going on or something like that. I don't know, but we didn't get back in touch. Basically, that's all I'm trying to say. And that was that about that, until I just came until I heard recently, and the day I heard that he died, the day I heard of his death was actually the day that he was being buried. That's wild, man. We were the same age, and now it's like somebody your age that dies, right? And then you're like, we all have this we all have this idea, we all have this hope, we all have this intention that we are going to get old. We all have this faith, this hope that we're at the that in time we're going to get old, and we would have lived a full life, right? But for your life to be cut short abruptly, and you know, just like that, it's like there's this question I usually ask people that call me. Like for example, now there's this girl I used to talk to, and one time she called me old, and I was like, "You're calling me old just because I'm kind of like older than you." It's not like not like she was a child, though. Not like she was a child, though, but she was kind of like a bit younger than me. But she was now calling me old, and I was like, "You're calling me old. Do you want to die? Which do you prefer, to die as young as you currently are, presently are, or to die when you're like 90 years? Like, which do you prefer?" And obviously, she preferred to die, like she preferred to live long, right? But um, so why call somebody old, right? I don't know. Where was I going with this? For someone your age to lose their life, it makes you think, and makes you like wonder. It's like, what if they were alive right now, like what could they be doing with their own lives? Like what kind of life would they be living, and what things would they be doing, and what stories would they be creating? You understand? And so n- and and so you're thankful not to any fucking god or whatever, but you're just thankful to be alive and to be able to have this kind of understanding and thoughts, and to be able to know that life is fragile, and life is so fleeting, and life can just be dispersed at any moment's notice, and 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 then you come to the realization that it shouldn't be wasted, that life is so fragile and so short that it shouldn't be wasted on anything that is utterly insignificant. Like life should not be wasted. Like you should life is so precious and so fragile and so fleeting and so small and so short that it should be cared for like an egg. Do you understand? Like you should care so much about you should, not to the point of narcissism. That's not what I mean. But you should care so much about your life, and you should keep it so priceless and so precious. Like it should be more precious than a drop of water in the desert. Do you understand? That's how as in that's how much, how little, as in no, what is what I'm trying to do for now. Life is so precious that we shouldn't waste any iota of it. We shouldn't waste any hint of it doing dumb shit. I see a lot of people that are just doing stuff that like I talked about in the previous episode. People are working hard while hardly working. People are just wasting their lives. People are just wasting time. People are wasting time. Do you know how precious time? If I'm not going to say that I'm just like higher than life character, that I already know how to like live my life as efficiently as possible. I have my own shortcomings too. I have my own vices too. But I'm not saying that I'm perfect though. I'm not perfect by any means, but I try to live my life in a way that um I'm not even seeking perfection. I'm just seeking to be better than I was the previous day. Do you understand? So I'm just trying to like live my life in a way that there is no waste of time. Like I'm not wasting time because this thing we call time is so precious and not a lot of people have it. Like people wake up today, like the way like right now as you're listening to my voice, man, there is somebody that wakes up today and realizes that he has wasted so much time. That's There are people that wake up today and come to terms with the fact that there are things that they could have done hundreds of thousands of years ago that they no longer either have the strength to do, or they are now too old for, or there just isn't, as in like they're no longer in that statistical bracket of people that are known to do all those things. Do you understand? And so it just feels like they have wasted their time and they have wasted their lives. And for people, it's better. What I know, what I'm about to say might sound morbid and dark and fucked up, but it's better to die. It's better to. It's better for someone who doesn't know what to do with their lives, or someone who doesn't know what to do with their life, to die and just like let it end there, let his story end there, for than for you to like keep on living and living and living and living and living, and then you get to a point where you're old, and then you look back and then you realize that fuck, all that time I wasted doing absolutely nothing. Bro, that would be like bro, that would be a one-man punch to the guts. Wait, one man punch. Why did they cancel that show? Did they even cancel that show? Wait, let me check Crunchyroll. Hold on. There's no new season of one man punch. Why did they cancel this? Come on now, what is going on? Anyway, to look back at your life and then look back at it with regrets, man, and reproach, and then you to just to tell as in, and that would be something so shameful to like utter out loud. You understand? So that would be like your internal hell. You'll now be living in hell, in a hell of you beating yourself up every day because you didn't live up to your expectations. Man, there's absolutely nothing else that I can say about that other than the fact that regret is I said this before, right? I've said this before. Regret is the worst thing that can happen to anybody, because like I said earlier, introspection is the time machine that that takes you into the future, right? So if you're not introspective, if you don't reflect, if you're not the kind of person that thinks and thinks and thinks and tries to like put things in order, right? You're not going to have the ability to know what you're supposed to do now that will be beneficial to you in 10 years time. I don't know if anybody's getting what I'm saying. It's like, what can I do now that will help me out in 10 years time, that I will be happy that in 10 years time I will be happy that I did. It might look very, very difficult. It might feel almost impossible to do, right? But there was one time that I stopped working out, man. Fuck. There was one time that I stopped working out and I was like, why am I doing this to myself? You know the benefits of working out, right? You know the benefits of keeping your body in check. You know the benefits of keeping yourself disciplined and keeping your body up to 100, right? So I was like, okay, let me just go back to this thing that I stopped doing because of laziness and allowing myself to just go out like that. I went back to it, bro. I could not do up to 10 sit-ups, man. I could not do 10. I was so scared. I was so scared that I could not do 10 sit-ups. 10. I was so scared that I could not. Bro. That is that don't Don't do that though. Don't do that again. Don't put yourself in that kind of odd situation where you're not able to like do 10 sit-ups. That was the scariest. That was one of the scariest things that have happened to me, man. So it might be difficult for you to do. It might be difficult for you to start, man. But start. That is it. Don't you start. What matters is that you begin. And once you begin, bro, there is no going back. Regardless of how slow you keep. What it doesn't matter whether your growth is slow. What matters is that you're growing. You understand? So um yeah, I lost my niggas, man. I lost my niggas, and I hope that um I don't I hope that um my life continues to be a privilege, and I continue to live a productive and wasteless, not wasteful, wasteless life, probably in their honor, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, I'm sorry that this turned out to be kind of, you know, odd and dark and stuff like that. But that's that about that. That's all I have to say today. Thank you guys for chilling with me. Thank you for listening to me. Thank you for giving me your listening ears. Still follow me on Twitter. I'm never going to call it X. Still follow me on Twitter, General Prime One. Yeah, let me know what you think about the episode. Don't forget to like rate the episode. Share it with people you think might be interested in listening to this. And I was listening to this waveform podcast, this MKBHD podcast. I always listen to it, anyways, and they were talking about how the whole podcasting thing is a lot more beneficial to the hosts if they put it on YouTube, not even on Spotify. Like, obviously this guy is very successful on YouTube, so he knows what he's talking about, right? So I tried before to like upload the an episode on YouTube, but embed like a gameplay video on it, and it took like, no joke, it took like 3 days. I've talked about this before, right? It took like 3 days to upload on YouTube. I don't know if it's because of how slow the internet is or whatever, but it took like literally 3 days to upload to YouTube, and so that kind of like discouraged me. And I don't know, man. Maybe what I want to do is that I don't know where I can get like this whole. I just talk to myself, even though I want to like try to start like interviewing people and stuff like that. I'm just usually on my bed, um, just with the lights off in the dark, because I do this usually in the night, talking to myself basically. If an alien is looking at me right now, he would think, the alien would think I'm weird, right? But that's mostly what I do. And it takes a lot of, like, now, for example, now I've been talking for about an hour now, right? And I don't think my internet is strong enough to upload this much footage, or to upload this much, like, this to upload this much to YouTube as fast enough. You understand? Like, I don't know how fast these American people, their internet is, so, but well, anyway, I'm going to see if I can go back to doing that. So yeah, follow me on Twitter. Let me know what you think about the podcast. Let me know what you think about the episode. Follow me on Twitter, General Prime One. Thank you for chilling with me. Thank you for giving me your listening ears, and I will talk to you guys next week. All right, bye everybody.